Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about a book I read. It's called Foreign Language Units for All Proficiency Levels. This is the book here so that you can get an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so one of the things that they talk about in the book is the 5 C's from ACTFL, which we all know is the standards for students and also for teachers, making sure that we teach the students meaningful material. And one of the 5 C's is communication, which means that the students will be communicating with others in the target language. And the second one is cultures, and this is where students learn about and understand culture. This is including their own. And the third one is connections, where students will be able to connect language learning to other content areas. The fourth C is comparisons, and this is where students will be able to compare their own language and culture with another. Students learn to appreciate their own and other languages and cultures. And the fifth C is communities. So this is what pulls students out of the classroom and brings the language outside to accomplish and understand real-life tasks and situations. Okay, so the book also talks about strategies to incorporate these 5 C's into the classroom. And so for communication, they suggest recording students speaking, emailing pen pals, and recording presentations. This ensures that the student is using his or her communication skills, and the teacher is able to score the communication skills as well. And also with connections, they suggest using online resources to access information from other disciplines. And comparisons, they suggest research projects on certain social or culture issues. With cultures, they say to use research so that you can research different cultures with the internet. They also say to conduct surveys. This can be done in the classroom, in the school, in the community, at home, or whatever. And another way to incorporate culture is to just search the internet. And lastly, communities. They suggest video conferencing and online resources for learning outside the classroom. They also talk about assessments in this book, and so the basics for assessment is they say to test what is taught and also test the material in the way it's taught and focus on what students can do. Lastly, it's important to capture creative language by learners. And also, through assessment, students can improve when they have the criteria and standards for the tasks they need to master. And also, they are given feedback in the attempts to master these tasks. And lastly, they have opportunities to use feedback to revise the work and resubmit. So they explain that technology can improve organizing and contextualizing instruction. It can also improve assessment because there are programs and software that are able to help test students, such as STAMP, COPI, DLang, MLPA, WebCape, and OWLTS. Those are just different programs and stuff to use for assessments. And they talk about distance learning. And in this chapter, they introduce 2 terms. The first one is distributed learning, which is a large body of material such as DVDs, computer programs, and videotapes used for classroom language instruction. And this does not allow the student to practice interpersonal skills. So being that these are pre-recorded, the student can't ask questions or change the conversation in any way. It's just permanent. And then for distance learning, the student is able to communicate with, ask questions of, and actively negotiate meaning with the teacher or other learners. So they have some delivery methods for the distance learning, and one is an online course, which we all know about, and there's also satellite courses. For these, the school must have a telephone and satellite dish for telephone conferencing. And lastly, there's interactive video courses, and they explain this as the user's actions, choices, and decisions affect the way in which the program unfolds. The instructor must be able to see, hear, and communicate with all students in the course. They also talk about enrichment for distance learning, and basically research is a great way to allow students enrichment, and this allows them to search the internet, and it takes them all over the world. There's also a website for Key Pals. This is basically online pen pals. And there's also language exploratory courses, and this is websites that offer basic vocabulary and phrases in the target language. There's also project-based learning, and this is where students meet other students online to work together and learn together. And a couple examples of these are the Globe Project and iEarn. And in the 4th chapter, they discuss access to information for teachers. And these are just some websites that were in the textbook, and they give information for news related to education and online teaching materials and guides and policy issues and programs for teachers and stuff like that. So lastly, why is this important to us? For one, it gives us access to ideas and information because we're all going to become teachers, so this helps us organize our ideas. And second, this gives information regarding enrichment and distance learning, which can be really helpful. It gives you resources on how to do that. Also, this tells you how to use assessments for students and technology for assessments, and it also teaches organization. And lastly, it tells us about the 5 C's and how we can meet these standards in the classroom and how to incorporate them. And that's about it. Thanks for listening.